Hello, everyone. We're going for a ride. Doggies want to go for a ride. Let's go see the views. How's everyone doing today? Gonna go see what we can see. Doggies want to go for a ride. Beautiful day, sun's out, a little cloudy. Hello, everyone. Coming down to the water here. Take you for a little walk over here. The water's real low this year. This used to all be underwater. Just out for a little adventure today. Nice sandy beach, but no water. You gotta go way out to get to the water. Over on this sea shore, lake shore. Big rocks from the lake here. Different ones. Come across this, someone didn't find on their scavenger hunt. Says this contents is plastic bag as part of a scavenger hunt on Saturday, 4/12/25. Please do not remove, mess with the bag. The plastic bag will be collected at the end of the hunt. Thank you. But the end of the hunt was Saturday. Today's Monday. So we'll take it and throw it in the garbage for them. Let's see, they do scavenger hunts along the water here. Okay, we continue our ride. All the daffodils coming up. How they made the road, how they made the rock wall out of the shale stones that they cut the grindstones from. These are the grindstones here, but they have them all cemented for cement posts. Each one, they cut those out of the ground and make all different sizes. Back in the 1800s. front. She likes to be up front. Driving. Call the cows. Cabas! 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 They come running. Cabas! 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 No, they don't want to come out today. They're eating. Cabas! They don't want to be bothered today. Is the sun. The old farm homestead. Once was a barn there, but it fell down. Out for a little joyride, show you the scenery, the country. Beautiful, breezy day in the 60s. Dogs are loving it. Coming up to a real old building that was from the 1800s. It was the old Grindstone trading post. We had a whole town like this, and in the 1890s they had the Great Fire of the Thumb, and most of the town burnt up. And that's one of the buildings that's remaining here. Built in 1884, Captain A.C. Pier. And these are the grindstones that they got out of and made these and shipped these all over the country, these grindstones. They made all different sizes. They grind everything from these stones, from your wheat, your flours, to steel, to... This town was known for this. They made these and shipped them from the harbor. They ran a train out on the water where I was just at. Started from there and went into Grindstone City. And they made these grindstones and shipped them all over the world. It was one of the first grinding stones. This was a thriving town up here in the 1800s. But in 1890, they had the Great Fire, and the whole entire town burnt up. It was the Great Fire of the Thumb. These are all buildings here, as you can see off the road. And when it burnt up, the whole town burnt up. Beautiful day today. Nice breeze. Sun's out, a little cloudy. The We'll take it from this cold winter we had with all this snow. So nice to have this warm weather. These are some of the grindstones that they made, different sizes. And this building over here was the Great Hotel back in the day. The Wallace Mills, 1887. One of the remaining structures here on the water. It was a mill. And you see all the grindstones, the different grindstones. Structure on the water here. These are some of the few buildings that are still last remaining. This whole area that we're going through is where the town was that burnt down. This was a thriving town at one time in the 1800s. This is the very tip of the thumb of Michigan. Grindstones all over this point. Those are all made, handmade, and shipped all over the world in the 1800s. These 2 points here is where they come from. And the train would come into these points and load up and then take them out on boat. You see that shoreline over there, all the grindstones that they have on the edging of it. But the trains would come and load up these grindstones and ship them all over the United States and the world, to Russia, Germany, everywhere. They would use them in their mills for grinding and sharpening steels. And this is where they all came from, these points. If you look back in history, you can see. This is Grindstone Harbor. Come out here and the dogs like to run on these points. If you walk these water's edges, you'll find grindstones, little ones as big as a 6-inch grindstone with a 3-inch square in the middle, to those humongous ones, to medium-sized ones, to 2-foot ones. They're just all over the grounds and in the water. You go in these waters here and you'll come across them perfectly grinding their number. They have serial numbers on them. When they were made in the late 1800s, middle 1800s into early 1900. You'll come across it swimming in the water off these points here throughout the lake here. This was a thriving mecca for grindstones. To the other point. All the different sizes that you can find on the water ledge of grindstones. They're everywhere. Take you over here, this is how they made the grindstones. Take in a little tour of this. These are the grindstones. This is a machine that must have spun them and they carved them. Massive steel. This was on a big train caboose that would airstream, and it would pump this and spin out these big, huge ones. These are little. From 1812 to 1891. It says in this rock formation in 1834 drew attention to Captain Peer and his crew on a schooner Rip Van Winkle when they took refuge from a storm on Lake Huron. Their discovery of this unusual stone led to Captain Peer starting the first business in Huron County. The area became known as Grindstone City, the world famous for sharpening qualities of the unusual stone. Here's some pictures of them working in the quarries. Preparing the quarry by clearing the area and brush of rubble. A horse-drawn scraper is removing the topsoil. The shed with the smokestack likely housed a steam engine used in the quarry operation. Workers on one-legged stools put the eye in the center of the stone before it went to the mill for balancing. The square hole in the center was hand chiseled. Earlier stones had square holes, later ones round holes. Note the horse-drawn cart. Men quarrying large heavy stones found at the greater depths than smaller lighter stones. Note the steam engines and chains for hoisting large stones to ground level. A steam-powered drill is making holes for moving the possible dynamiting the large hard rocks that couldn't be loosened by other means. A steam engine powered the cable and pulley device used with gin poles and hoist stones to top of the ground. Two poles fastened together, one in the ground and the other fastened to the bottom by a hinge, would be parallel when the stone was on the ground level. The picture shown a rough stone ready to be shaped and balanced. Notice how the stone is positioned in the hole so the men can work on it more easily. The stone was placed upright on the huge frame and the iron spikes about an inch in diameter driven 3 to 4 inches apart at the steam engine turned the stone. Two men guided by the spikes smoothed and shaped it. Saleable stones had to be perfectly balanced. The huge stone has been shaped and balanced on the hand drill and now being hoisted so as to move the stakes for drying. Note the spikes in the guides and turners for smooth and balancing the stones. Finishing stones stacked in piles with wooden between the stones allowed air space for drying. Stones were always wet when quarried. Note the gin pole used for hoisting the stones. The stone mill appeared to have been located somewhere near the northwestern end of the Grindstone Harbor and not too far from this cutting leading to Lake Huron. Note the long point dock in the upper right that indicated the location of these operations on the near the harbor of Grindstone City. Grindstone is different sized stacks on the dock ready for shipping. This would appear to be the longer dock and one of the left when viewed from shore. Note the tracks used by cars that transported stones to the docks. In that picture, all the stones are on those 2 points we just seen, ready for shipping. Grindstone abandoned around 1930 when the industry died. It appeared the north of Grindstone, an area now showing up several dock spaces. Another view of the quarry, the men at work. They definitely are working on smaller stones before sending them to the mill for finishing. Just a big history here in Grindstone City. Here's some of the quarries that they dug some of these stones out of. The general store on the main street now was not changed too much over the years, maintaining original water floor, metal ceilings, and now a favorite summer hangout for supersized ice cream cones. Well, the sad part of that, on January 1st, that ice cream store burnt down. Grindstone City Main Street, now Copeland Road. Looked east, some of these buildings like the general store still are there relatively. Now the hitching post and the right. I don't know if you're able to see this. There's that grindstone we just passed down the road. And all the different pictures here.